Story on Washington's Mall, WMAL, where Washington comes to talk.
No country seems to have been hit as hard and as fast as Italy by coronavirus. The death toll now climbing by 31% in just 24 hours.
Wow.
To 827 people killed. Intensive care units can't keep up. They are competing for space, rationing ventilators, and they are overwhelmed. And that is a warning to the rest of us about how to handle this. But the President of the United States did come out last night and announced a giant travel ban on the European Union. The exception to that, a country that's no longer a part of the European Union, the United Kingdom. How much does it play a role to have your own sovereignty in a health crisis like this? Let's get Raheem Kassam in here. He's the former chief advisor to Nigel Farage and the editor-in-chief of the National Pulse. He's the co-host of the War Room 2020 podcast. Raheem, good morning.
Hey,
Thank you.
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
So the lessons here, as we derive them during an active public health crisis, are what?
Well, the lessons coming out of Europe are certainly that the open border Schengen zone just doesn't work in a situation like this. The 26 countries on the new travel ban that the president announced yesterday are part of a Schengen area. That's the open borders area where you can traverse countries in Europe without having to provide documentation, no passports. It's just kind of a free-for-all on mainland Europe. That doesn't work, and we've seen that not working. We've seen the cases spreading in Germany. We've seen the cases obviously spreading in Italy. We know that 22,000 cases have been tested across Europe now, and Europe has actually been exporting cases. I believe 201 so far that have been counted to 53 countries around the world. So clearly, the European model doesn't work on this. And also, I think what we will begin to see when we look at countries like Italy, which have obviously been in dire economic situations because of their status with the EU and in the Eurozone for so very long, we're going to figure out very quickly that actually for decades now, they've been neglecting their core national infrastructures, their healthcare systems. You know, we can all go over to Italy and spend some time in Rome and think it's a wonderful vacation spot. But actually, the underlying infrastructure in a lot of these socialist-run, centralized healthcare countries is pretty poor.
Well, Raheem, to that point, right after Brexit, I was asked to go to Warwick University in Coventry, and I actually went to Stratford-upon-Avon to a little store and talked to one of the store owners. He runs a Christmas store right across from Shakespeare's birthplace, and he was a self-professed liberal, and he asked me what I was doing there as a Yank, and I told him, he said, I voted for Brexit as a liberal because I saw the diminution of our sovereignty, that I did not want unelected politicians in Brussels telling me what to do, and I was worried about my borders. So why are British liberals more enlightened on this than European liberals? Because clearly it's paying off for them now.
Well, look, I mean, most British liberals will still be pro-European Union, pro-open borders. But you're right, there is a significantly larger chunk of liberals who are willing to countenance the idea that actually sovereignty isn't such a bad thing in the United Kingdom than you would necessarily see over here, or indeed in other European nations also. And the rationale behind that, in a lot of senses, is because there has been such a long-standing tie between the left and things like the union movement in the United Kingdom, whereby so many union workers, so many people of the traditional left had voted to leave the European Union and campaigned to leave the European Union since we actually became a part of it in the 70s. The other part of it as well to remember, and just allow me to flex my British exceptionalism here a little bit, is that Britons actually don't and haven't traditionally seen themselves as a part of a larger continent. And that traverses political and ideological boundaries to a great extent. Britons have a very definite identity that perhaps, you might say the Czechs don't, or even some of the French don't. And you also have to remember the economic implications of all of this. Britain is the largest single investor in the United States and vice versa. I believe we are the fourth largest export destination for the United States. So for the president, this was very much not just a sovereignty calculation, the idea that Britain can actually get its stuff in order, but also in economic calculation. And I think it's something like 40,000 U.S. firms export to the United Kingdom. That's very important to not shut down.
Yeah, it's too bad, but it always works this way, to have a crisis to remind us of the importance of sovereignty. Raheem Kassam, thank you. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, Raheem.
Thank you.
822.
We will make America great again.